The Colorado Rockies snap their 5-game losing streak with a wonderful 3-2 victory over the St. Louis Cardinals, and old pal Nolan Arenado. We'll break it all down as the bullpen actually did their job. Quantrill bounces back, and the Rockies offense does just enough. All that and more on tonight's Locked On Rockies postcast.
You are Locked On NHL Crossover, part of the
That was the wrong intro. Hold on one second. I'm still getting used to this. Here we go. Let's restart. The Colorado Rockies, a 3-2 victory over the St. Louis Cardinals and old pal Nolan Arenado. Let's talk about it on tonight's Locked On Rockies postcast.
You are Locked On Rockies Postcast, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, it is the Locked On Rockies postcast. Hope everybody is doing well out there. Apologies for the botched intro. Like I said, I'm still getting used to the software and all the different tabs and this and that. A lot of different boxes I got to check before we get started in doing this show. But appreciate you guys joining me. And it is a victory show. It is a victory Thursday. The Rockies 3-2, man. I'm going to enjoy any of these post-game postcasts that I can do when we're talking about a victory for the Colorado Rockies, because more often than not, unfortunately, we're going to be talking about some bad baseball and some bad losses, kind of like we saw yesterday against the Cincinnati Reds. That was disgusting. So nice to see the Rockies bounce back. They improved to 22-40 on the season. St. Louis drops to 29-32. And I know this is a post-game show, so I can't get too deep into the minutia of just like the bigger picture, but like, man, when Nolan Arenado requested a trade from the Rockies and saw that he was going to the St. Louis Cardinals, he probably did not expect to be on a mediocre ball club, which the Cardinals have been over the last couple of seasons. So interesting stuff that we'll dive into tonight. But the big themes of the show, you can see them on the rundown. Quantrill bounces back big time for the Colorado Rockies. The offense, they get the job done. And Sonny Gray struggling with some command, which is a bit unusual. But it is Locked On Sports. It is your Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm your host, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Locked On Sports, your team every day. And tonight's episode is presented by our friends over at Supply House. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. Be sure to check out our friends at Supply House. More from them in a little bit. But like I said, all in all, a pretty good game for the Colorado Rockies tonight. They only have, let me confirm this because I heard it on the broadcast at the end, but I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. But the Rockies tonight end up finishing this game with only 4 hits. Now, yeah, that is correct. This is only the third time in the last 5 years that the Rockies have managed to win a game when they've recorded 4 hits or fewer in the ball game. So a lot of small ball tonight. You know, the offense did just enough, but we've talked about the themes on this show before. Timely hitting, clutch defense tonight, and just, being a little bit opportunistic. With Sonny Gray, with the command issues and the walks and this and that. We'll dive into that in the second segment. But I want to lead off today's show with the offense because, look, a 3-1 or a 3-run win, well, not a 3-run win, but when you score 3 runs in a game and you win it, right, it's a good thing. But at the end of the day, you want to score more than 3 runs on a consistent basis if you're the Colorado Rockies. But I think like this is the game that they lose 9 times out of 10. Like I saw my guy, Drew Kreisman, who covers the Rockies for us. Actually, let me read this to you real quick. It's actually up on my screen. He put out a tweet as soon as the game ended. He says, "I am earnestly shocked that the Rockies bullpen held on to that one. They've been dreadful the last few weeks, but that was pretty darn nails." A 3-2 win over the Cardinals. Michael Toglia, play of the game in his first game back. We'll have to talk about him for sure. Just stellar defensive play from Toglia tonight, really keeping the Rockies in this game. And it's funny, I have not spent much time around Michael Toglia. I'll be honest with you. Like I'm not sure if I've really interviewed him in a one-on-one setting. I've done it in a scrum setting, or I've been a part of those scrums. But I was watching his post-game interview on the TV broadcast. He is not a man of many words. I'll put it that way. I mean, like they were like asking him questions about that catch on the Goldschmidt hit, and then he ended up grounding out to first base, but got a run home in that sequence. And he has like 2-word answers like, yeah, it was great. Best play of my career. Like not exactly elaborating, and more power to him. You can absolutely handle that situation however you want to. But for someone who was a hero of the game for the most part, just interesting to see he's a little soft spoken. Like I said, not a man of many words. But let's go over the Rockies scoring tonight. Their first run of the game ended up coming in the third inning, and walks were a major theme tonight. A lot of patience, a lot of temperance from this Colorado Rockies offense, I would say. And Jake Cave, what's the old saying? And look, I'll give Drew Goodman credit for this as well. When Jake Cave is in the lineup, he usually finds a way to do something pretty good, whether it's a base hit. He had a diving play once again, back-to-back games with diving defensive plays out there in left field. So Jake Cave doing his thing, but he generates a leadoff walk in that third inning, which was just absolutely critical here because he was able to then advance from first to third on a single from Michael Toglia, who, as I said, was one of the heroes of the game here. And it's weird, like if you go back and watch like some of the highlights or you watch the scoring plays for the Rockies, you're not going to see a traditional run being scored for Colorado because with runners on first and third, Charlie Blackmon lined a rocket to second base and was initially called out on the double play. They got Toglia out on the force out and then threw it back to first base to try to get Blackmon to double him up and end the inning. And Charlie was initially ruled out, as a matter of fact, before the Rockies challenged. And at the end of the day, the challenge was overturned. Chuck was safe. Jake Cave, situational awareness, runs home, and the Rockies get a 1-0 lead. So good stuff from the Rockies, manufacturing runs by any means necessary. It can't always be the long ball. It can't always be, single, double, triple, right? Sometimes you got to play that small ball type of game. And Toglia, Charlie Blackmon, and Jake Cave, doing their part to generate that first run. So nothing cooking for the Rockies in the fourth inning, but they picked it back up and added their final 2 runs of the game, which would prove to be the winning runs for the Rockies in that fifth inning. So again, Bretton Doyle, who's been playing a little bit better here for the Rockies, one of the few young guys. I think Bretton Doyle, Nolan Jones, who played for AAA Albuquerque tonight, I saw, and Ezekiel Tovar. Like that's your core right now. Like dare I say those 3 players are as close to untouchable as they could be. Like I don't think you trade Tovar under any circumstance at this point, and it would have to take a heck of an offer for the Rockies, in my opinion, to move either Nolan Jones or Bretton Doyle. But Doyle, in that fifth inning, leads it off with a single to left field. He then proceeded to steal second base, and speed, that's what I'm talking about, small ball, was also the name of the game tonight. So, like I said, that leadoff single, then steals the base to second, and then Jake Cave again, man, draws another walk, 2 walks on the night for Jake Cave, and then both he, being Jake Cave, and Bretton Doyle proceeded on the double steals. So Rockies end up with runners on second and third, and then who the guy who I've been talking about a majority of this show, Michael Toglia, ripped a shot down the first baseline. But Paul Goldschmidt is Paul Goldschmidt, one of the best first basemen, maybe the best first baseman of our generation or this modern generation of baseball. Makes a diving play. What is that? Would be to his left, I believe, and ends up getting the out on Toglia at first. But again, because of the defensive intricacies and whatnot, Bretton Doyle, who also has a good amount of speed, was able to get home, and the Rockies then extend their lead to 2-0 before adding another run after Sonny Gray threw a wild pitch. So the Rockies at one point had 3 runs to the Cardinals 0, which is not unusual for the Rockies. The unusual thing with the Rockies is the bullpen holding leads. I mean, case in point, the series finale against the Cincinnati Reds. And I'm not going to lie, like I was like trying to build the thumbnail. I'm like trying to build the title and the description. And I'm like, I got to like kind of wait until there's 3 outs in this game just because you never know what's going to happen with this ball club. So when it's all said and done, though, the Rockies, those 3 runs are just enough. And again, as we started out the show saying, it is just the 3rd time in the last 5 seasons that the Rockies have managed to win a game when they've recorded 4 hits or less. So good stuff all the way around. Sonny Gray and Cal Quantrill will hone in on the starting pitchers here in the next segment, excuse me. A little up and down was Sonny Gray, and Cal Quantrill, a nice bounce back after struggling in his previous start against the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I think with the Rockies offense in particular, like I said, not exactly lighting the world on fire here tonight, but doing just enough and playing that small ball style of baseball to get those 3 run homes, and then at the end of the day, the pitching staff did their job. It looked a little dicey there. St. Louis ends up adding a couple of runs a little bit later on in the ball game on that bullpen, and I'm kind of sitting here like, oh, what's that GTA meme? Oh, bleep, here we go again. That's kind of how it felt with this Rockies team, because you just never know what you're going to get from this bullpen. But when it's all said and done, they do their job, and it puts the Rockies in a really good spot. and they're able to get the win. And like I said, snap that 5-game winning streak. So all in all, just enough offense, but again, nice small ball offense, finding ways, I don't want to say to win ugly, but winning games offensively. The St. Louis Cardinals doubled them up in hits, 8 hits to the Rockies 4, but the Rockies were able to get those runs across the plate, which ended up being a big difference maker. So let's hit a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about the starting pitching because Cal Quantrill was phenomenal tonight for the Rockies. Had some command issues with a handful of walks, but again, nice to see him bounce back, and you can live with a game like that from Cal Quantrill if it means you can keep yourself in ball games with the Rockies, right? And then Sonny Gray, a household name in Major League Baseball, he struggled tonight as well. So let's hit a quick break. When we come back, we will continue along. Hold on. Oh, yeah, it's because I'm in the wrong one. I got to make sure that I'm set up in the right thing. We will continue along with the conversation when we come back right here on the other side on your Locked On Rockies postcast. All right, real quick, guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Supply House because you're going to want to listen up for this. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in business and talk to a real person every time. Gosh, I love that. I absolutely, how annoying it is to have to talk to the machine or press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and then it's just like the automated computer that you got to talk to, man. You got to love Supply House because you're going to talk to that expert real person every single time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to dedicated phone lines, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free memberships at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Once again, guys, Supplyhouse. Be sure to check them out at supplyhouse.com. Tell them Locked On MLB and the Locked On Rockies postcast sent you. It helps us out a lot. And like I said, you got any problems, you got any issues, you don't want to talk to a computer, our friends over at Supply House are going to take great care of you. Check our friends out at supplyhouse.com, and away we go. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast, Locked On Sports, your team every day. As I said earlier, tonight's episode is presented by our friends over at Supply House. But we spent the first segment talking about the Rockies offense, timely hitting from, it's hard to even say timely hitting, but doing just enough with small ball. Michael Toglia ripping the ball down the first baseline. Paul Goldschmidt makes a great play, but gets a run home. Charlie Blackmon hustle play to beat out a double play, which ends up scoring a run for the Rockies, and then taking advantage of a wild pitch. So all in all, a good offensive performance tonight from those fighting Colorado Rockies. But it's my number one point on today's show. Cal Quantrill bounces back, the Colorado Rockies starter. And look, the Rockies games, they all start and end with the starting pitching, right? Because they put up 4 runs tonight, committed an error defensively, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in this segment as well. But the pitching is able to keep them in games. It's when you get down, the other team has 8, 9 double-digit runs, whatever it might be, and you just find yourself down and out in these ball games. And Cal Quantrill did a great job tonight of setting the tone and staying within himself, because he did end up having a handful of walks in this game. Let me pull that up. I thought I put it on my notes, but I don't think I did. He had some command issues, and Sonny Gray as well. Sonny Gray had 4 walks in this game, folks, which is obviously not a recipe for success. Yeah, they both had 4 walks. So four walks for Cal Quantrill and 4 walks for Sonny Gray. Oh, I did have it written down. I'm just blind. So all in all there for the Rockies, Cal Quantrill doing a good job of keeping them in the game. He finishes with a pitching line, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, which is phenomenal. 0 runs in general. Those 4 walks, which we talked about, just 1 strikeout. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be able to deliver those types of numbers, you'll live with that if you're the Colorado Rockies. And it was a really good bounce back spot for him because he got shelled his last time out right around a week ago against the Los Angeles Dodgers. He gave up he went 4 1/3 innings pitched, 9 hits, and 4 earned runs in that game against the Dodgers last week. Quantrill's been one of, if not the most consistent starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. So to see him bounce back, I think is hopefully a sign of good things to come. He gave up 6 earned runs total in the month of May. He's given up 4 in the month of June. And here we are doing this show on Thursday, June the 6th. But again, all 4 of those runs coming in the same game against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So kind of wiped the slate clean, right? That was a bump in the road for Cal Quantrill. But, for the most part this season, he's been pretty good for this Rockies team. And you want to see that continue moving forward, because if they want to have any opportunity, like I said, this team's not making the playoffs, folks, but they have an opportunity to be competitive. Had a winning record, I believe, by 1 game in the month of May, off to a rough start in June with the 5-game losing streak, but they snapped that tonight because of the tandem of the starting pitching, timely bullpen pitching, and timely hitting in the batter's box. So that is a recipe for success. And look, I know the St. Louis Cardinals aren't the best team in the world right now, but they're probably a little bit better than the Colorado Rockies. So we'll see what happens tomorrow as well, and we'll preview that one. I think it's a pretty fascinating pitching matchup. But like I said, Cal Quantrill tonight, he gets the job done with 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 4 walks, which you don't love, but works around those and adds a strikeout to the mix as well. Like I said, it's 6 earned runs for him in the month of May. You're hoping he can come close to replicating that the rest of the way here in June. So let's talk about Sonny Gray as well, because the Rockies tonight, as we've said on the program, they only generate 4 hits, but Sonny Gray is traditionally one of the best strikeout pitchers in Major League Baseball. I believe he ranks 11th with 82 strikeouts right now, and I think part of that's because of how he pitched tonight. He did end up having 5 strikeouts tonight. Sonny Gray goes 4 2/3 innings pitched, only gives up 2 hits, but 3 earned runs, and as we mentioned earlier as well, 4 walks. I mean, Jake Cave responsible for 2 of those walks, and it's the cardinal sin. You just don't walk batters consistently in Major League Baseball and expect to have a positive outcome or have the wins kind of stack up here. So Sonny Gray entered this game with a 7-3 record, 3.21 earned run average is what he ends up with at the end of the night. Excuse me. I'm getting the hiccups now, of course. But 61 2/3 innings pitched on the year, his shortest outing of the season. And like I said, he only gives up 2 hits, but it's the earned runs and the walks that kill him. Strikes out the 5. But that 4 2/3 outing from Sonny Gray tonight is, like I said, his shortest outing of the season. So the Rockies, maybe some self-inflicted wounds here for the St. Louis Cardinals. But at the end of the day, Colorado doing a good job of taking what's in front of them and putting the pressure on this Cardinals offense tonight, or excuse me, the Cardinals starting pitcher tonight in Sonny Gray. And on that note with the Cardinals offense, they were just unable to punch through tonight. Nolan Arenado had a tough game, and I titled him in the thumbnail for a reason, because here's the thing. I come from New York. I was born and raised a Met fan. My whole family's from there. Nolan Arenado had no choice. Right? I would have probably done the same thing. But if you're a Rockies fan, you're always going to have Nolan Arenado. But for you listening out there, tell me you don't get a little smirk, a little smile when you see the Rockies go out there. Like I said, Nolan Arenado, bigger and better things, moving on in St. Louis. I mean, how much better have the Cardinals been than the Colorado Rockies in the last 2 years? Obviously, their records have been a little bit better, but when it comes to contending for a World Series, sheesh, man, the Cardinals have been anything but that, which is crazy to me because they've had talent. You're telling me that and look, I know it's the individual sport that combines with the team, right? But when they traded for Nato and they had Paul Goldschmidt and a handful of other guys, I was sitting here, I was like, wow, St. Louis might go on a run here. And it's been anything but that. But Nolan Arenado tonight, man, 0-4 in his at-bats tonight. He has 3 walks, if I'm reading this correctly, strikes out as well. He's only hitting .251. He's also hitting 5th in the lineup tonight. So how old is Nolan these days? Mid-30s, probably? 33, 40, 34? Let's look this up real quick. I'm actually curious. Bear with me, folks. Nolan Arenado, yeah, he's 33 years old. Wow. Time flies. Doesn't it seem like it was just yesterday? I actually was at the game and I was walking on the concourse and the iconic Father's Day walk-off. I saw someone with the t-shirt cartoon of that. It's just crazy how fast time flies. This is his 4th year already with the St. Louis Cardinals. But, like I said, if I'm a Rockies fan, I'm feeling pretty good about, beating Nolan Arenado. He doesn't have a great night. It's a feather in the cap. Not many of those that for the Rockies fan this year. But let's talk about the bullpen, because as I said, as good as Cal Quantrill was and as good as the Rockies offense was of taking advantage of some mishaps from Sonny Gray, The bullpen almost did what the bullpen does on a consistent basis, blow games. And I was a little scared. And like, that's the thing is like Cal Quantrill goes 5 innings pitched. Like, you can't expect these guys to put up 6, 7, 8 innings pitched on a consistent basis, right? Like 5 strong should make you feel pretty good about your chances moving forward in the game. And the Rockies bullpen, like I said, doing what they do, dang near blowing this game. Matt Carassetti gets called in the 6th inning, replacing Cal Quantrill, and just immediately found himself into trouble. He allows a leadoff single to Nolan Gorman. And there was something on the broadcast, because I think it was a full count where Gorman punched through about, like, you'll live with that. Like, right? You don't want to give up the leadoff walk, which I know I've been talking about on this show. You don't want to give up a leadoff anything to the leadoff hitter. I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster. Like, you give up a leadoff single, leadoff double, leadoff walk. I don't care what it is. Obviously, you can try to turn the double play, but like to sit there and say, like, you'll live with that. I mean, I guess you have to, right? You got to live with it, but like, not a great outcome. That's not what you're looking for whatsoever. Like, that's not like a sacrifice fly if you're in the batter's block. So I don't know. I was sitting there watching the game. I was like, huh? Like we can't take that as a net positive, allowing a leadoff single, but I'll continue. I'll get off my pedestal here. Matt Carassetti, like I said, he replaced Cal Quantrill in the bottom of the 6th inning, allows that leadoff single to Nolan Gorman, and then he proceeded to strike out Nolan Arenado, though. So there's that. From there, Brendan Donovan hits a single to center. Nolan Gorman advances to second. So now we got 2 runners on. Oh, boy, here we go. Is this going to be the game-tying home run? Is this going to be the double in the gap that gets 2 home and, 1 out? And, oh, boy, here we go. And suddenly it goes from a 3-run Rockies lead to a 3-run Cardinal or 3-run deficit for Colorado, because we've just seen this story time and time again. And like I said, so with 2 runners on, Ivan Herrera then hits an absolute rocket. There's something else that I want to call it, but I have to be PG on this show. An absolute rocket. And look, I've been a little critical of Elvis Montero, specifically his defense. He made a phenomenal diving play to save what would have been a base hit, and it would have at least scored 1 run. So he makes the diving play at first base, gets the ball to second to Tovar for the force out at second. And then Tovar, which is rare for him. Look, he is a young kid, so, you give him a pass. The 1 error on the night, he sends an airmail ball past the first base or whoever was covering first base for the Rockies. And that allows the Cardinals to get their first run of the game. So St. Louis gets their first run on that error. Matt Carpenter then follows that up with a single. And Herrera ends up scoring a little bit later on in that inning. Then the Rockies proceeded to yank Carassetti. Victor Vodnik comes in, and he gets them out of the jam. But Matt Carassetti, my man, my guy. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how much more the Rocky fan could take of this. I got to talk about it. It's my job. This is what I do. So if I have to pivot with with my show notes later in the evening, so be it. But Matt Carassetti, he took us on a roller coaster ride tonight. So we'll see what happens here moving forward. With this bullpen, it's just it's a roulette wheel every single night with this bullpen. You just never know what you're going to get. But like I said, tonight they do their job. Cal Quantrill, the bullpen, picking them up. You got to love it. So let's hit a quick break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show, guys. I'll give you my 3 strikes, my 2 big takeaways from the game, and then we'll look forward to tomorrow's game as well. My boy Danny Bailey in the comments. I cannot say that, but Taps knows. But we'll like I said, we'll hit this break, and then I'll give you a preview of tomorrow's game as well before we get out of here, because I think it is a fascinating matchup between the Cardinals and the Rockies tomorrow because of the starting pitcher that is on the mound for the Colorado Rockies. So stick with us. Back in a few minutes. I'm Aniello Piro. This is your Locked On Rockies postcast. All right, let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you, that's right, you, a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers, they get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com. Check out all the odds, man. Let me see. I'll actually pull up my I don't know if I have it downloaded on my iPad. I put my iPad into retirement for a while. But I would imagine that the Rockies are going to be pretty significant underdogs once again in tomorrow's game. I also have not been watching the NBA Finals, to be honest with you, just because I had to pay attention to the Rockies tonight. Let's take a look at the score. So the Boston Celtics do end up winning that game 107-89, but I was following it on social media, and it looked like Luka Doncic and company we're making a comeback at one point. So Boston takes game one. If you think Dallas is going to bounce back in game two, if you think Boston's going to continue to roll in game two, Locked On is the code to use over at FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com/Locked On. Get your bets in. Let's have some fun. And NBA Finals, NHL Finals, and plenty of baseball. We got Euro Cup on the horizon. Plenty of things to get some action on. Be sure to do it with our friends over at FanDuel. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm your host, Aniello Piro. The Colorado Rockies taking down the St. Louis Cardinals by a final score of 3-2. And like I said, the two major talking points for me tonight: the starting pitching, Cal Quantrill, the bullpen doing a good job. So the pitching in general, and then the Rockies offense playing that small ball, stealing bases, drawing walks, and just doing whatever they needed to do to get the job done tonight. So, like I said, man, you want to see Cal Quantrill try to stay hot. He's got some potential, a journeyman type pitcher, a guy who's been around the block. So you want to see them try to keep it tight in the rotation. And the fact, like I said, let me pull up these numbers again. Quantrill just got absolutely shelled against the Los Angeles Dodgers in his previous start before tonight's against the St. Louis Cardinals. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 9 hits, and 4 earned runs. 6 earned runs total in the month of May. The entire month of May, Cal Quantrill only charged with 6 earned runs. He's got 4 so far this month. But again, all 4 of them coming in that start against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So a nice goose egg for him tonight. Let's see if that can keep up. The Rockies offense, like I said, Nolan Jones, I saw he was down at AAA today. Once they get him back, that'll only help. Brenton Doyle's speed on the play. What was I almost just said Brenton Doyle's speed on the play. What is wrong with me? Speed on display. That's what I was trying to say. Apologies there, folks. My mind's just running at a million miles an hour right now. But you love to see that. You love to see the walks. You love to see Toglia hitting the ball hard. And at the end of the day, man, the Rockies got to try to figure out a way to win these games by any means necessary. Charlie Blackmon with a hit, but the big guys in the middle, Tovar, McMahon, and Diaz, all 0-4 tonight. Brendan Rodgers and Brenton Doyle, who we just talked about, had a hit. Montero 0-4. Jake Cave, he did not have a hit, but those 2 walks proved to be absolutely sensational. And then Michael Toglia added a base hit of his own. All in all, only 4 hits for the Rockies tonight, but it was just enough. So we'll see what happens moving forward with that offense. And look, like I said, it was a 5-game losing streak that they snapped tonight. So can they move forward with their best foot forward, have some momentum, and try to steal a game tomorrow and clinch a series, which would be fantastic. So before we get out of here, though, let's take a look at tomorrow's game. This is going to be a good one because I think the storyline is juicy. On the mound for the Rockies, Austin Gomber. And Gomber's been pretty darn good for the Rockies this season. 1-3 with a 3.06 ERA. He got shelled as well last time out against the Dodgers. 3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. Gave up 2 home runs in that game. But he was also scratched from his previous start against the Guardians. So a bit of an off. He was just off in his routine leading into that game against the Dodgers in his first game coming back, like I said, after being scratched from that one. But I think the real reason that tomorrow's game is so enticing, that's 6:15 Mountain Time first pitch, is because Austin Gomber, along with Eleris Montero, who made that phenomenal defensive play at first base in this game, were the 2 centerpieces in the trade that sent Nolan Arenado to the St. Louis Cardinals. So a little bit of a revenge spot here for Austin Gomber. Like I said, got shelled last time out against the Dodgers, but collectively this season's actually been pretty darn good for the Rockies. So I'm excited for this one because I want to see what Gomber, the lefty, has. Going up against the team that traded you, there's probably always a little extra juice, a little extra motivation to go out there and put your best foot forward. So we'll see. And then he'll be opposing Lance Lynn, who I'm not going to lie, I kind of thought Lance Lynn was retired. I did not realize that Lance Lynn was still pitching, let alone for the St. Louis Cardinals, the team that he started his career with. He spent some time with the White Sox, the Rangers, and then it all comes full circle for him as he comes back to the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 2-3 with a 3.23 ERA in this season so far. He also got shelled his last time out, although his stat line was a little bit weird. 4 innings pitched, he gave it 3 hits, 4 runs. 0 earned runs, though. So 4 runs allowed, but 0 of them being earned. He also punched out 4. So it's Austin Gomber versus Lance Lynn tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. It should be a good one. Before I get out of here, Chris Bryant's on the IL again. What is this? His 7th or 8th time on the injured list since he's been a member of this team. What do they do? I might have to talk to my guy, Paul Holden, who does the standard Locked On Rockies podcast, because I just kind of need to have a conversation about this. You want to talk about a lost cause. I don't know what the Rockies are supposed to do with Kris Bryant at this point, whether it's the back or the mindset or not wanting to be here, like the comments that we heard from him before the season. Like, is Kris Bryant signing with the Rockies like the worst signing since Pablo Sandoval signing with the Red Sox? That's just like the first massive contract that comes to my mind of a guy who just like did not live up, or Anthony Rendon with the Angels. I mean, it feels like to be on point with that, or on par with that rather. He has been a disaster. And at this point, I almost feel like we're past the point of no return, because what have you seen at all out of Kris Bryant to make you think that he's going to bounce back in any way, shape, or form for this Rockies club moving forward? I know I haven't seen anything. Here's to being an optimist, and wishful thinking and all that kind of stuff. But the Rockies have a serious problem because they're not a cash-rich team. With the amount of money they're paying Kris Bryant, this is going to only continue to leave voids and questions on the roster and surrounding this team, because 1 + 1 is not equaling 2 right now. Kris Bryant has been a mess. He's been a disaster, and I have no idea how the Rockies are going to figure this out on the injured list again. So I'll close with that, because I don't even know what else to say. But let's end it on a super high note. A 3-2 victory for the Colorado Rockies as they take down the St. Louis Cardinals. Nolan Arenado not having a great game, but they do get the dub against old pal Nolan and snap that 5-game losing streak. Good stuff from the starting pitching, good stuff from the bullpen, and just enough from the offense. You'll have to see it. Let's see what happens in tomorrow's game. The Rockies 22-40, the St. Louis Cardinals 29-32. It's Austin Gomber versus Lance Lynn. Should be a good one. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, because we'll be back right here on the Locked On Denver YouTube channel after tomorrow's game recap, and hopefully another victory for those fighting Colorado Rockies. But guys, this is Locked On Sports. Appreciate you as always, your team every day. Today's episode presented by our friends over at Supply House. Be sure to check them out, and our friends over at FanDuel as well. So that's going to do it for me. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do so at Media by AP. But a good victory for the Rockies, 3-2. It was a good show. We'll do it again tomorrow. Like I said, hopefully another victory. Have a good night, guys. Enjoy your Thursday evening, and we'll talk to you on Friday.